Tyson will take on Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition fight on September the 12th. This is exciting. Listen, it's funny because these two are one of my favourite fighters. I think they are my favourite fighters. Mike Tyson, Prime Mike. Listen, you couldn't touch Prime Mike in terms of the aura he had. This guy was built like a tank. He was quick, he was mobile, he was fast, he was explosive, fantastic body punching. He could hit you with both hands. He had a quite good jab, actually, to be fair, Mike. His feet work were great. He had a good chin. Head movement was perfection. I mean, Mike, in his prime, you couldn't find that much faults. You know? You couldn't find that much faults in Mike. You know, Mike was just a fantastic fighter. And Roy, listen, if you don't know about Roy Jones Jr., get to know. He's probably one of my favourite fighters. After Mike, he probably is one of my favourite fighters. Prime Roy Jones Jr. Listen, guys try and get ripped, try and get strong, try and get fit now, yeah. You guys see other fighters and you think, yeah, he's athletic, he's quick, he's got speed. Look at a Prime Roy Jones Jr. He was like Superman. This man's reflexes were out of this world. The way he would hit you, he would put his hands behind his back. His footwork was fantastic, his movement. And this guy wasn't like a great boxer. He was fighting from different angles, knocking you guys out. I mean, he was putting guys down with body shots. Good guys, you know. Good guys. He beat Hall of Famers like it was easy work. James Toney, Hall of Famer. He made Evander Holyfield quit. He beat up so many guys. James Toney, look what he's done in his career. Moved up to heavyweight, what he's done. Roy Jones Jr. beat an undefeated James Toney and schooled him. Schooled him, dropped him, wobbled him, rocked him. That was not even competitive, that fight. Bashed up Bernard Hopkins in his prime. Before, well, I wouldn't say Hopkins' prime, but while Hopkins was coming up, he bashed up Hopkins. Mike McCallum bashed him up. Went up to heavyweight, beat who did he beat? What's his name? Ruiz, that guy. John Ruiz. And why that's amazing? This man went from what was it? 154. He went from middleweight to heavyweight. That's incredible. And to win a heavyweight title, this guy was pound for pound. Roy Jones in his prime, you couldn't really touch him. This guy was the first fighter I saw with my own eyes that it could be a whole round and he wouldn't get hit once. Not get hit once. That's how athletic and quick he was. I mean, Roy was amazing. And this fight, of course, you know, these guys were meant to fight at one point. I think it was in 2003 when Mike beat Cliff and Etienne. Mike just lost to Lewis. He was just trying to milk and get as much money. And Roy was in his prime. Roy was moving up to heavyweight. He was looking strong. He outboxed John Ruiz, won the heavyweight title. And it was going to be a big fight. The fight never happened. But now Mike's been talking about having an exhibition fight. He's been looking good in the pads. Roy's been fighting for, I don't know. I think Roy's got into the habit of enjoying getting knocked out, because Roy's been getting knocked out for many years. I mean, he's been fighting up until 2018. And Roy's been knocked out by a lesser opponent. He's obviously not in his prime no more. Neither of them are way past it. Way past it. But they still got good fan bases. They're probably one of the most physically gifted fighters of all time. Both of them. One of the most physically gifted fighters of all time. Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson. I mean, it's obviously now they're not in shape. But they're still, I think they're probably, for their age, they're probably the best shape in terms of, for 54-year-old men, they're both fantastic. So I think this exhibition fight is going to be alright. It's going to be decent. I'll pay for it. You know what? To see how it's happening with this whole coronavirus and how it's affected people, this fight will probably give boxing some kind of breathing space, you know, in terms of yes. Because I'm telling you, everyone's talking about it. You know, everyone's talking about it. Nobody really cares that much about White, Povetkin, Charlo, Dimitrenko. Yeah, it's all good. It's all nice. But this is what everyone's talking about. Everyone's excited, you know. And these are two old men out of their primes. You know, if it was like a Fury White, even a Fury White or a Fury Joshua, you know, Terence Crawford, Spence. If it was one of them kind of fights, then everyone will be talking. But no one's really talking about boxing like that right now. And I'm talking for the casuals. But this fight, people are talking about it. And it's going to be an excellent fight. I'm looking, I don't think, I would favour, it depends. It's an 8-rounder, I heard. So, and they're going to have bigger gloves, no head guard. But Mike's punching hard. But in the first 2-3 rounds, Mike's dangerous. And Roy could probably get knocked out by by a feather. Cause Roy's chin's been shaky for a long time, and Mike is not the kind of guy you want to go in if you've got a history of having a shaky chin outside of your prime. This guy is a man that relies on reflexes, and when they're gone, you can't see the punches as good. But will Roy try to outbox? I mean, Roy can box. Roy's boxed before. Roy can box, and he's fought 12 rounders up until 2018, so he's got the gas tank. Mike's been smoking weed and doing them podcasts. So if Roy takes it long, but I heard that in this fight there has to be a knockout. There's no such thing as winning on points. It's first person to knock someone out. So I'd give. I mean, Mike's always had a good chin to. I mean, I know Mike's been knocked out a lot of times, but even when Mike gets knocked out, you could see that when he gets put down, he's kind of always got back up. And even if he's been stopped, he kind of, even against Lennox when he got knocked down and. You know, he kind of was laying on his back, touching his eye. He was still... You could see he was still there. You know, and even when he got knocked out by Williams and McBride and all them guys, he was just kind of sunk to the ground. It was just like... The motivation wasn't there. But Mike's always had a good chin. He's always been quite durable. You know, even when he has been knocked out, especially in his prime. Roy, on the other hand, has always been knocked out. In terms of once he started to lose his reflexes... And from the Tava knockout onwards, I mean, he's been knocked out in a lot of fights and most of his losses. So it's going to be an interesting fight. People pay. I'm paying. Let me know what you guys think about this fight. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm out.